I'd like to welcome him to the stage to launch and share with us the report, Dementia in the Commonwealth. And the good news for yourselves is there's copies of the report at the Dementia Centre stand at the end, and they'll tell you about the online version. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Colm. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon to launch this report. It has been a labour of love since December last year when it first started as a concept paper with regards to what we would do. So my job here as a member of the board of CommonAge is to share with you a little bit about what CommonAge is and what it has done, and then also to give you a little overview and a taster with regards to what the report is about, and then to introduce Emma. I also have a very important job, which is to say thank you to the people who have partnered with us with regards to the development of this report. And yes, there have been many, many late nights, even here in Australia, because the report has involved the 56 countries of the Commonwealth with regards to this, and also give you an idea of where this report is ultimately going, which is to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa in October, and then from there it will also go to India with regards to some major work there, and from that it is hoped that with your assistance it will be on the Commonwealth Health Minister's agenda in May next year. So what is CommonAge? Is the Association for Aging right across the Commonwealth. It was born here in Australia. In South Australia, a group of key individuals came together, and it was launched actually at the Global Aging Network Conference, as it was IASA at that point, in Melbourne in 2013. And from that, it has grown to become quite a large organisation. While still voluntary, with voluntary directors, it has had a very strategic focus on influencing the agenda, and most recently has actually seen through its advocacy the appointment of Dame Carol Black as the Special Envoy for Healthy Ageing across the Commonwealth. And our strategic priorities are there: the decade of healthy ageing, creating connections, challenging ageism, and also sharing ideas right across. We do several missions to countries that are emerging and need support, and help them with regards to major platforms associated with ageing. Thank you, Emma. So welcome officially to the launch of this really essential report. This is just one part of the report. If you go and click on the QR code, you will actually get 3 massive appendices that go with the report overall and give you ideas as to what is happening. And I would recommend it to everybody. Get it to your ministers in each of your electorates and get them to consider what is within this report. And in terms of a call to action in the spirit of the conference, we would also like you to hashtag at the end, and we personally will call out some insights for us, as will Colm, who has been part of the SteerCo. It is my great pleasure to thank you and to thank the Dementia Centre, to thank UKRI, and to thank Help Age International for their support in the production of this report. Without them, we would not have been able to do that. Also, Alzheimer's Disease International, they have been a pivotal partner with regards to this whole journey. The purpose of the report is to highlight the progress across the Commonwealth in every country towards having a dementia action plan. Sadly, that is not the case, and Emma will take you into more of that. Share good practice and to challenge stereotypes. Provide insights and to focus on inclusion. Support health ministers with regards to the changes that they need to make and to get it absolutely on the priority agenda, and to continue to profile dementia as a health priority. My thanks also to people in the room who've been report authors. There are several that I can see, one staring right down in front of me. And also to thank Emma for her amazing efforts with regards to the production of this report. So over to you, Emma. Thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about it. Scan the QR code.
Thank you. Sure. I'll move over a little bit. So whilst we're doing thank yous, thank you to Sally from Hammond Care and Annie, who's back in the UK, hopefully asleep. Without both of those individuals, this report wouldn't have gone online on time. And I just want to hold it. It's been a huge project with so many people involved, so it's great to actually see a copy in real life. As you can see, you can scan the QR code, you can download a PDF. So the report is made up from 27 authors, 26 separate articles that are in full in the appendices. and you can see the printed copy as well. The appendices, we've sort of clustered them around some areas of practice, some areas of geographical focus, and a few solutions that you can have a look at. And the aim is that in amongst those articles, there's something there to interest everybody. We've also set out the bulk of this document is around the innovations and challenges across the Commonwealth. And in that, we'll go into a little bit of detail around some of the insights today. As we've said, the Commonwealth is made up from 56 countries, and we're really pleased that 30% of the Commonwealth are featured in this report. Obviously, we'd like that to grow. We're hoping to do a repeat of the report in 2 years' time to demonstrate progress. And we want to hear from all parts of the Commonwealth because everybody has a unique experience to share, but also there's common themes that we could look at Commonwealth-wide in terms of finding some of the innovations, solutions, and policy change. One of the key parts of the report was to have a look at how well is the Commonwealth doing in the context of the National Dementia Policy, so National Dementia Plan. All nations are expected to have a National Dementia Plan or strategy by 2025. And you can see from this chart that 59% of the Commonwealth don't yet have a plan in place. Now, we recognise that for many countries, they're dealing with conflict, poverty, climate change. There are so many challenges, and that needs to be recognised as part of this sort of statistic. But the other thing that we were able to find within the report and the articles that people were contributing is the richness of activity that's happening on the ground. So yes, of course, we want a government national dementia plan, but it's so important that that starts with the innovations that are already in place and that strategies are built from the ground up. So to governments, you don't need to do your strategy on your own. There'll be great things happening in the communities. Go find them and start there. As I mentioned, what you'll find in the report is we've used the World Health Organization cross-cutting themes for the Global Action Plan. So within this document, there's a section for each of those areas of cross-cutting themes. And that was a really great way of being able to say, how do we take these 26 articles and summarize them in some way that makes sense for people who can read the report? So I'm going to go through some of those key insights. Human rights, equity, and consideration for culturally appropriate solutions. That came as a theme across many of the articles that were being written and a key challenge across the Commonwealth. And that doesn't change whether you're a high-income, westernised nation or whether you're a low to middle income. All areas of the Commonwealth are struggling when it comes to human rights of people with dementia. And when we think about the theme of this conference in the arena, people whose human rights are not being met in the context of dementia are in the arena. They've been in the arena every single day. So we need to get in, stay in, and be alongside. We know that through some of the articles and Dr. Philip Ventry's article, whilst it was one of the last ones to be received and I was keeping my fingers crossed, it was well worth waiting for because it really talks about some of those challenges around culturally sensitive solutions for First Nations people. Dementia is a whole life course disease. We heard earlier from Luke about young onset dementia. But did you know there was a thing called childhood dementia? 1 in 2,900 children. That just blew my mind. It was something I didn't know about. And so we need to make sure that we are positioning dementia as a whole course. And the role of women. Jacqueline Wong has written a really hard-hitting article that's in the appendices that talks about the disproportionate impact of dementia on women, both as people living with dementia and caring for those that are. Power of community engagement. I was so pleased that we got to do the cross-cutting themes because this is one of my favourite subjects, and you could tell that from talking about compassionate communities earlier. Raising awareness, creativity, storytelling, intergenerational activities are happening across the Commonwealth. There are people doing amazing things, regardless of whether that is a government policy or whether it's just because they know their community and know that they need to start to challenge some of the stigmas surrounding dementia. So community engagement, intergenerational activities, there's loads of examples throughout the report that you'll be able to read on that. The next cross-cutting theme is around the essential and varied role of community. As I say, you know, community means different things to different people, and community isn't necessarily where people live, it's where they feel that they belong, and that can be a digital community as well as a physical community. So looking at examples around that, technology is going to play a large part in the future of dementia. There are examples threaded through the report of how technology is supporting people with the diagnosis, connecting people to seek advice from across countries, getting expert advice to providers. There's lots of examples, and the UKRI article has a range of examples of the use of technology that enable people to be able to read again, be able to, there's one around recipe boxes where they have a recipe box and some sensory digital activities that allows them to bring some of these recipes to life. So some great examples of how technology is part of the solution. Design of places to live and places to spend their time. So we talked earlier in one of the sessions around buildings and homes and places where people live. But examples like the shopping centre in Malaysia that's referenced in the report, that is a dementia-friendly shopping centre. We need our community spaces, our places, our neighbourhoods, our parks. We need benches where people can sit and spend time. So the outdoor environment and design of the outdoor space is as important as the inside space. And there's some great examples and references that you can read about some of the activities that are happening. Workforce is a big one, and workforce is a difficult one, which I may be slightly contentious about in terms of my feelings reading the report. So we know that workforce is a challenge for health and care. We know it's a global challenge, not just a challenge in the UK or in Australia or in the Commonwealth. It's a global challenge. But what's often happening is that we are undervaluing health and care workers. We know we do that. We've talked about that earlier today. We also know that we can't grow the labour market enough, because for young people, they may as well go and earn more in a coffee shop or in a shopping centre than understand the value of a role in care. So we need to deal with that. I think there needs to be a Commonwealth-wide workforce plan, one that doesn't recruit from countries that need their labour to go and put it in another country that needs labour. We're just competing and robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I think that if we could have a global workforce plan, or certainly a Commonwealth workforce plan, that tackles some of the challenges that are common around the status, the value, and the role of young people in care, and raise it together, we've got a chance of dealing with some of these global challenges. Otherwise, we just keep moving people around, and we don't get care where it's needed most. And the other one is around financial plans. So in the articles, there was very little reference to how anything would be funded. So there are some amazing ideas. Some of those ideas are very low cost. Some of those ideas do not require statutory funding or government funding. But to bring it all together as an overall strategy, these strategies have to be funded. There are, in some national dementia plans, reference to some government funding, Canada being one of those. But for most of it, it's silent on how are we going to afford the strategy and the aspirations that countries have. So financial plans have got to be part of this. So our challenge to you is read the report, please. Ideally the full one with all of the appendices, but certainly this one. Find out what your key insights are going to be, and we're going to share our personal insights in a moment. Create and share a pledge. What is the one thing that you can do in the sphere of influence you have, wherever you're starting from, that can make a difference? Whether that's a difference in your family, your community, your organisation, however. And then if you would like to, share it with #Dementia in the Commonwealth, so we can capture those pledges from all of you as we start to think about what are some of the changes that we can all make together. So my personal insights and pledge, as I've mentioned, childhood dementia. So there's no point in having a pledge unless you're going to do something about it. So I had the honour of meeting Meg and Gail for coffee in Sydney a couple of days ago. I'm doing some work with the Children's Hospice in England, and I'm able to start to make connections and ensure that we're talking about childhood dementia when we're talking about children's hospices and children's palliative care. So that's the one thing that I've already taken an action on. The disproportionate role of women, well, I've given the report to my daughter. I've given Jacqueline's report to my daughter, and she's outraged. She's 15. So I think I can hand the baton on to a degree, but we need to, and I've written a blog about how we need young people to lean into this challenge. So that's my action there. Dementia and the LGBTQI+ community. When I was doing the section on equity, I was struggling with, well, it wasn't mentioned, it was silent, and it needed to be in the report. So I was trying to think about, well, what's the connection here? So I did a bit about reading, and then what I was reading was that people with dementia who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, they may have forgotten that they transitioned. They may have forgotten they came out. They may be scared of the police because when they came out, when they couldn't come out because it was illegal, being gay was not acceptable. All of that societal challenge that our history tells us is being relived as people with dementia and LGBTQI+ populations are ageing. So I don't know much about it. I've got the leaflets from the stand upstairs, and it is an area that I'm going to learn more about, and I'm doing some work in Birmingham in England, and I've got the leaflets to take back to talk to them. Public health, palliative care and dementia, you heard me talk about earlier. It's what I spend half my time doing, and making sure that we continue to thread the worlds together of dementia and palliative care. Linda, your personal pledge?
So for a future that matters, my personal pledge and my personal insights from the report, also the disproportionate role of women, and that there is a new case of dementia every 3 seconds. That's 300 cases in the time we've been in the room this afternoon. And also that there are 82 billion hours of informal care actually used by women, disproportionately impacting women as they care for people with dementia. So they're my personal insights. That's my personal pledge. I urge you to # dementia in the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Look forward to reading what you're going to do. Thank you.